The other day I was watching a new video posted by a YouTuber that I really enjoy watching, Britt Pierce, discussing the 15 most iconic watches. It got me thinking about something though. What about those watches that don't carry the iconic status for one reason or another in the watch industry, but totally should? These are 6 incredible watches that deserve the title. When it comes to iconic tool watches, the Rolex Submariner historically is at the top of the food chain. Don't worry though, this first watch is not a Rolex, but how many sub-owners are really pushing the watch to the limits or using it for more than just a glorious wrist accessory? It's a great example of a luxury dive watch, and it's iconic because of its looks and status. But I wouldn't really call a modern Submariner a tool watch. What is though, is the Sinn 104. It was first introduced in 2013 and has the build quality, specs, and flexibility you could ever need in a tool watch. Sapphire crystals on the front and back, a very reliable day-date Solita movement, rotating timing bezel, 200 meters of water resistance, and a perfectly executed and legible Flieger dial. Everything about it screams tool watch, and from top to bottom, it's really amazing. It has great dimensions for an everyday watch, coming in at 41 millimeters by 11.9 millimeters. For $1,500, it offers a lot of value, and in my opinion, it's a perfect example of a tool watch. The second watch that should totally be considered iconic is the Grand Seiko Snowflake. The SBGA211 is not only an absolutely gorgeous watch, made just as well as any luxury brand has available, it's powered by a very unique movement. The spring drive uses a combination of mechanical and electronic components to create a more precise timepiece compared to mechanical watches. As much as the Submariner defines Rolex and the Royal Oak defines AP, the Snowflake is Grand Seiko's most popular watch for a variety of reasons, more than just the spring drive movement. The artistic textured dial sets it apart from the crowd, and the Zaratsu polishing sets a standard in craftsmanship that is tough to beat. The watch is made of high-intensity titanium, which helps keeps its total weight low compared to steel, which really helps with all-day comfort. The details on the Snowflake is what everyone has come to love about Grand Seiko. The retail price of $6,200 is less than any Rolex and offers more quality and a better watch overall. Next up is a watch that should definitely be considered an icon, and probably for a reason you might not be super familiar with, the Ulysse Nardin Freak. It is the first watch to ever use silicone on the escapement wheel and completely changed the perspective on watchmaking. Silicone parts are harder than steel, more elastic, shock resistant, and anti-magnetic than other materials, and just about every other watch brand has implemented it into their watch movements. The Freak also didn't follow the traditional format and has no dial, no hands, and no crown. Instead, it uses the entire watch as a movement platform. The movement rotates to tell the time, with the movement itself being the hours and minutes hands, with the disc underneath it. First introduced in 2001, if there is a conversation about iconic watches, the Freak should be in that discussion. The cheapest model you could find is around $19,000, which is an expensive watch, but undoubtedly, the Freak was a complete game changer. In the world of military-issued watches, there is no other brand that symbolizes the best chronograph, the Breguet Type 20. It was issued to the French military in the 1950s and represents a perfect example of a purpose-built pilot watch, featuring a black dial with a 2 or 3 register chronograph, housed in a steel case with the large onion crown, bidirectional bezel, and powered by a hand-wound caliber. It could also be argued that Brigade is the most influential and innovative watch brands in history. In 1780, they invented and produced the world's first self-winding automatic watch. In 1801, they invented the tourbillon, balancing the effect of gravity, and in 1810, invented and produced the world's first wristwatch. There are other notable contributions Breguet has given to watchmaking, but without going into a big history plan, just know their influence is truly iconic. The Type 20 chronograph is the military-issued version, while the Type XX is the civilian. The modern version retails for around 22 grand, although the aftermarket prices are definitely a lot better. Last up is definitely the most unique looking, probably more than the Freak, but it's not just the design that makes it iconic. The Hamilton Ventura was the world's first electric watch, which was a big gamble when it debuted in 1957. It was powered by the caliber 725, a movement with no mainspring or winding mechanism, and received its power from a tiny electric motor. The unconventional design was unlike anything we've seen before in the watch industry, and caught the attention of the king of rock and roll, Elvis, who was not only a watch enthusiast, but also a big fan of the Hamilton Ventura. He wore his personal rare white gold version in the movie Blue Hawaii. Steve McQueen helped make the Submariner famous, and Elvis did the same for the Hamilton's funky space-age looking and cutting-edge technology-powered Ventura. The watch is still a staple in Hamilton's catalog and retails in the range of $900 up to $2,500.